Good morning, everyone. It's November 3rd, Monday, and we have read chapters 23, 24, 25 of Jane Eyre, and have come to the point where the secret is finally revealed about why there is this shroud of mystery over Thornfield Manor, and an incredibly dramatic scene. The wedding is objected to by Mr. Mason, who coincidentally had gotten word from Jane Eyre's uncle, whom she wrote to prior to the wedding. And so Mason shows up, and in the classic moment where anyone asks, or where the priest asks if anyone objects to the marriage, of course there's an objection. Mason has brought a lawyer with him, and so the marriage doesn't happen. Rochester storms out of the chapel with Jane and invites everybody to come see his current wife, Bertha Mason. And Bertha is the main character of Wide Sargasso Sea, which we were going to read next. So I haven't talked about Bertha very much yet because I didn't want to ruin the shocking surprise. We meet her. She is described with diction that hints at vampirism. She's like a savage, this monster groveling around on all fours with her hair covering her face. She tries to attack Rochester, and he has to wrestle her and tie her down. Of course, we know what wild hair could perhaps symbolize, having looked at the passage earlier with Brocklehurst cutting the hair of the girls in Lowood. But a reading of Jane Eyre at this particular point in the novel that I find really important is to look at the way that Bronte uses fairy tales. And a careful reader may have at this point seen some parallels between Cinderella. There's also a parallel between Jane Eyre and the Bluebeard story, which you may have not read, but we'll go over that in class. And then also there's the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. All of these things Bronte weaves quite successfully into her story. And the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale is actually sort of an outgrowth of the fairy tale or the myth of Cupid and Psyche. But mythologists and fairy tale scholars have categorized the Beauty and the Beast type of narrative, which appears, well, it's not a narrative, but a story, and it appears in several different cultures, and they give it the label the animal groom tale. Okay, it's sort of a form that shows up in a lot of different cultures, in which there is a young maiden who marries some kind of animal, and there's some sort of spell cast, and the animal turns out not to be an animal. You may have also heard of the Frog Prince, a fairy tale. Alright, so I just want to go over briefly a couple of characteristics. I'm trying to flip the camera, but you can't flip it mid-movie. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of characteristics of the animal groom tale. Maybe you can see right here on my computer. There is... Oh, it's going backwards, so that's not going to work. We'll have to read them. The basic skeleton of the animal groom tales is that one, the the main character, the female, the heroine, has to go live with the beast, or the animal, we'll call it the beast, in repayment for a favor done by the father, usually. So the heroine has to go live with the monstrously ugly man. Number 2, although the union is forced, eventually she comes to love the monster. Number 3, most of these tales involve the heroine recognizing her true feelings only after a period of separation, which proves nearly fatal to one of them. Number 4, the myth or the animal groom fairy tale is meant to show the kind of changes that have to happen in order for the heroine to be mature enough to enter into an adult relationship. And number 5, a symbolic death is required for that kind of transformation to happen. And 6, in the end, it's not necessarily the man that changes, but it's the attitude of the heroine that must change in order for the transformation to occur. And then another thing that I haven't said is that in these tales there's some sort of mysterious spell that has to be broken.